You got a lot of whistles out there. Are you flattered?
Hello, Salt Lake City. It's awesome to be here, and thank you for that warm welcome.
Now, I have to ask.
Yes.
I just got back from Disneyland, and I didn't know I was moderating this panel till a few hours ago, but I am a huge fan of Patrick, just like yours, so I was stoked. And I have to know, how did you get the whole gig on Soarin' Over California?
Well, I just remember it was just a simple call and an offer, and I went over there to do it. And it was a great experience because Lassiter was there that day, and he came and intercepted me, and he took me for like a private tour of the park, and I got to hang out with him. But it was an awful lot of fun doing that. An interesting story here. Yes, years ago, Roy Disney, who was the only surviving Disney royalty. His passion was the Transpac, and so that's a race from California to Hawaii, and he did that about 14 times. This was his passion project, and he requested that I narrate this. So when you do cartoon voices, there's no right or wrong, you just have fun and play. But when you're narrating and you have a 91, 92-year-old Roy Disney sitting like this, listening to every word you say, like it's very, very tense. And so I decided that I needed to break the tension. So I'm going to tell Roy about the time I got kicked out of Disneyland. I go, Roy, when I was 20 years old, way too old to be doing dumb crap like this, my buddy and I were there, and we were on a People Mover, which is a monorail ride. It hasn't been there for a while. And my buddy Justin and I decided to get off of a monorail ride on the monorail while it was moving.
It was right down.
The ride immediately shuts down. There are lights flashing. It's like Logan's Run. We're running, but we don't get far. We get busted. We're in Disney jail, which is not that unpleasant. And they escorted us out of the park. And I go, isn't it funny, Roy, that I am the safety instructor on one of your rides? And I did the most unsafe thing ever in Disneyland. And I'm wondering right now, if I should have told you, is my gig still safe? And he goes, I think you're okay. But it's fun being a part of a Disney ride. I'm a Disney-phile. I grew up on Disney. I love Disney. I grew up in a very strict Catholic household with 3 younger sisters, so our television was limited. We were only allowed to watch during weekdays Little House on the Prairie, and then great show, and then of course the wonderful world of Disney on Sunday nights. And those were the 2 shows we were allowed to watch. And so I love all those Disney films, and I love being a part of anything Disney, absolutely.
And now you're Kronk. You are solidified.
That was one of when I had that opportunity, I was like, ooh, gosh, a Disney animated feature, and I'm looking at the material. Disney's very secretive with their material. They only give you like 4 pages, so you don't know the story or anything. All I saw was these 2 characters, Kronk and an Yzma. And since it's animated, you're not even sure what a Kronk is. You could be a robot or a giant. But I was able to sense that he was a reticent henchman, and I thought to myself, how does this guy sound? Because they could have 4 pages of a character description, but they still don't know what a character sounds, I think, until they hear what a character sounds like. And Kronk, I was thinking, he could have sounded dark, and it would have been interesting if he was like, it's a shame I'm going to miss dessert. I worked so hard on that. And that could have been a fun way to go. I just took him down like this and a little bit sweeter like that. And like, that's it. And then next thing you know, we're doing it. So, but it's really fun. It was really fun. It's sort of an interesting story. Kronk and Yzma have an interesting relationship. I think some people ask questions about that. What's actually going on with these 2 behind closed doors? Who knows? But what's an interesting story in regards to art imitating life and life imitating art is that was not the first time I worked with Miss Eartha Kitt. I had worked with her 10 years earlier in South Africa. I did a couple of films, and they're forgettable or awful unless you have a VHS player. You'll never see them, which is a great thing. They're not good movies, and I'm the worst thing in them. But we did this film. I was 22 years old, and I came back to the States, and Miss Kit was performing at the Roosevelt Hotel in Los Angeles. And I thought, well, I'm going to go see Miss Kit perform. We work together. I'm going to go see the show. And so I go see the show, and she was very pleased that I was there. And then she invited me up to her room for tea. I sat on one end of the couch, and she sat on the other end of the couch. She was petting this white furry creature, and to this day I couldn't tell you what it was because it had fur in its face. And she was like, "Darling, how are you?" And nothing overt. I just knew she had excused her butler with vigor. Leave. And it was just us. After about 10 minutes, I knew that I was in way over my head. And Kronk excused himself from the couch as Yzma sat there with her creature, and I just said, "Goodbye." And that was 10 years before The Emperor's New Groove, and there's almost no difference between me and Eartha Kitt on that couch 10 years prior, and Kronk and Yzma. And to me, it's the weirdest thing. Like, something in the universe made that happen. Strange.
Love it. All right, Wayne, I know there's some people in the audience that want to ask some questions. We have the microphone right here, so if anyone wants to ask questions, welcome. I know you guys were protecting your seats because you didn't want anyone to take them, so I don't blame you.
That's why this. Can you tell us a little bit about being the Tick?
Being the Tick was an amazing experience. The Tick is an ingenious creation by Ben Edlund, and to get to step into those shoes was so much fun. It wasn't fun wearing the costume. But, because when you put that costume on, it was on all day long. And if you had to go to the bathroom, then it was an hour process to get out of it and get back in it. So, and you get dehydrated, so you have to drink a little bit of Gatorade, but just sips, because you didn't want to have to go pee. And that was it. I loved getting to do the Tick. It was short-lived. It's had a lovely cult following since, but Fox didn't know what they had at the time. They weren't doing single camera half-hour comedies at the time, so it was different, and it was expensive, and they just didn't want to support the show, so they sort of fed us to the dogs. They didn't put us on the year that we did it. They held us, and then they put us up on it in a time slot that would kill us, and they still got numbers that were close enough that they were going to have to reconsider their move, but that was it. We did 9 episodes. Yeah.
So there's a band that I love with all my heart called Burn the Ballroom. And in 2019, you teamed up and did a single called Goddess of the Rain with them.
Yes.
And they're not that well known, but I remember when it came out, I was doing something with my sister and I was like, "Who's Patrick Warburton?" And then I looked it up and it's like, oh my gosh, how did you meet Burn the Ballroom and how did you end up doing that single with them?
I did, so I started an event for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital about 14 years ago, which I'm very proud of. By year 3, we were the #1 event in the nation for St. Jude and have been since then. So the chairman, our chairman, who's the huge part of the success of our event, that is his cousin, Adriel Janae. So at a house party there, I got up and when they were performing, I sang with them, and they go, "Hey, you want to record a song?" And I go, "Yeah, sure." So he came out, we recorded it in my barn, and it's got like 3 million hits, I think, on Spotify, which is kind of nice. But it's kind of a cool song, Burn the Ballroom, Goddess of the Rain. Yeah, check that out if you get a chance. You got it. I'm not going to quit my day job, but it's not terrible.
One of my favorite parts about your role as Kronk is that was a bilingual role. You had to learn Squirrel for that. Nice. I was wondering if you could talk about the process of learning that. Did you do flashcards? Did you have dialect coaches? How did you learn?
There really wasn't, since it didn't get too detailed. I was able to learn Squirrel rather quickly, and I've tried it at some of the neighborhood parks, and it does not work. The only thing that works is food. Food works with squirrels.
Let me just say, it is such an honor to meet the guy who does the safety video for Soren.
Nice work, pal.
Just wanted to ask, what is your favorite kind of salad?
Well, interesting you should ask that, because I just had the best salad of my life ever last night here in town at that amazing oysteria. Starts with a V. Walters. Unbelievable food there. And it was the best Caesar salad I've ever had in my life. Best salad I've ever had in my life. I hope that's
Thank you.
a pleasure meeting you, young man.
Pick it up.
Kronk?
Thank you for being here. Speaking of squirrels, I was one of your junior chipmunks years and years ago. What I wanted to know, and thank you for first, is your recipe for spinach puffs. It hasn't done me as well as it has you, but my question is, what drives you? What do you love chasing for the opportunities you have?
What do I love
What do you like? Like what roles do you like to chase? What
to chase? Well, I've never been good at auditions. I can't stand auditioning. I've never done well. Fortunately, work begets work, and then you have opportunities to prove yourself and do things. So some of the best jobs I've ever gotten have been offers, And like when I did a series of unfortunate events, that was Barry Seinfeld. And I worked with him on The Tick, and then we worked on Big Trouble together, and a little bit on Men in Black, and and so fortunately, Barry and Daniel Handler wanted me to be Lemonade. Now, if it was up to Netflix, I wouldn't have been on their top 200 list, and if I had to audition, I would not have gotten that job. So I love it when interesting things come my way and perhaps present themselves, I did a film called The Duel about 3.5 years ago, and if any of you haven't seen it yet, it's on Amazon Prime. It's a $700,000 budget film that Lionsgate picked up, and then Amazon Prime put it on Tier 1. It's a very interesting, different role for me. Lionsgate said, we can't get our $50 million budget films on Tier 1, but they want The Duel. So The Duel is strictly a word-of-mouth film. People see it and then tell other people to see it. There was no campaign, no ads, nothing, except what we did individually. So that's an interesting role. That's the kind of stuff that I would prefer to be doing more of. So I was really glad that I got that opportunity. But I love to diversify. I love to do things and surprise people. We all, whoever, any of us here work in this industry, it's supposed to be a creative industry, yet it's still in casting. They kind of put you in boxes and think that you just do one thing until they see you do something else. So that's why I appreciate stuff. So like The Duel would be something, and working with the young directors who did that film, who are very, creative and daring. Yeah, like that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Croft Lewis.
I'd like to be the kind of person who asks random questions. So, what scent of candles sounds the most edible?
Hey, let's see here. I always sort of go with coconut or whatever. It reminds me of surfboard wax, and it just kind of makes you want to chew on it a little bit. Even though it's not going to be good, like those wax lips, which you chew on for whatever reason. That's an old person thing. You wouldn't know about the old wax lips, but...
And Mr. Warburton, thank you. Huge fan of your work from everything that's mentioned, but I'm surprised no one has brought up Family Guy yet. Yeah. I was wondering, do you have a favorite Joe Swanson cutaway gag or moment from the show?
I'm not sure. I just love it when they integrate him a little bit more. That's for sure. One of my favorite episodes was the one where Meg had a crush on Joe because it was just so gross and creepy and just so funny. And then I did get to work in studio with the lovely Mila Kunis on that, which is great because normally we just record by ourselves. But Family Guy's been an interesting ride for me all these years. I love being a part of it. I'm thankful that Seth MacFarlane got me involved years ago. We've seen what Seth can do, so I'm glad that Seth doesn't do Joe, because, that's all their voices. So thank you, Seth MacFarlane, and it's been great to be a part of it. This is interesting. I know it's kind of it's old news, but I'll bring it up again just in case anybody here doesn't know. But I talk about it frequently. My parents have hated Family Guy since day one. Well, my father's in the monastery. My mother's even more Catholic than my father. They begged me to get off that show. My mother's part of the Parents Television Council, and their biggest fish to fry is to get Family Guy off the air. My mother one time asked me to sign a petition to get Family Guy off the air. True story. I did not. Seth loves these stories, by the way.
Fanners.
And I was actually helping, to a degree, support mom and dad at that time. My father was a wonderful, wonderful surgeon and man, but he wasn't a great investor. So I was helping them out while my mother was still working with the Parents Television Council and donating money while I was giving them money to the Parents Television Council. I said, Mom, I'm aware of what you're doing. You are taking Family Guy money and you are laundering it through God at the Parents Television Council. But I go, we'll not sign that petition. That's what's helping put your 4 grandkids through college. And this is, but it's been really sort of crazy.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Obviously, we all appreciate you and your work, and we'd love to see you and realize that you're a person and things. And so I was wondering, like, in the great con of life, what panel would you want to attend? Like, what person would you like to go and see and learn more about?
Well, I don't, right off the bat, I can't tell you, but I heard that Mel Gibson is here. And this is his first one ever. That's what I heard. I mean, Braveheart is still one of the greatest films that I've ever seen. And it's just, it's one of those films touched by the hand of God. It's such an awesome movie and profound. That was one of those films where, when you have kids and you get to watch that movie again with your kids when they get of age, and you get to vicariously experience it for the first time again with your kids, and then look at them and go, is that a great movie? Yeah. Are you glad I made you watch it? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll save you a seat.
All right. Cheers.
Hello, Mr. Warburton. It was a pleasure to finally meet myself up there. How you doing?
It's very strange. It's like looking in a mirror.
Thank you very much, sir.
Hi. As somebody who's done both voice acting and live acting, which do you prefer more and why?
Well, I don't prefer one over the other. They're both entirely different, and I don't really compare them. One of the great things about doing animation is that as voice actors, we just sort of lend our voice to the character. There are all these other artists involved. When you see it all come together, it's a compilation of so many artists, and that's really an amazing thing to see it all come together in the interaction, especially since we usually independently do our voices, so it's great to see your character interact with other characters. So that's unique to voiceover. I've always been, I got into this biz, because for live action, I'm an actor. And then, doing voiceover work, I don't want to say it was a happy accident. It was just something that I didn't even consider doing until I was about 30. And then I was able to, get involved. And I was fortunate enough to get some really good opportunities early on. Buzz Lightyear in the TV series, and The Emperor's New Groove, and Family Guy all happened all around the same time. Doing Buzz Lightyear was fun. I knew that when I got hired to do Buzz Lightyear, the TV show, I knew what role I was taking. I was taking the role of the poor man's Buzz. The one that kids would watch for the first time and go, that's not the real guy. I heard through the grapevine that Tim Allen wasn't a big fan of my Buzz. Well, I did it very differently, than he did. Through his manager or something. And then Tim and I ended up on a film called Big Trouble in Florida. And which, by the way, never saw the light of day because it was a comedy with a bomb on an airplane that was set to come out September 20th, 2001. But on that set, I had to tell Tim that I was the real Buzz Lightyear. And Tim said, how so? You were a toy in the movie, right? He goes, yeah. There you go. After that, we ended up on another film called Joe Somebody, where I smacked the crap out of him. He funded his 10-year-old daughter. It's a really ugly scene. And while he was laying on the asphalt there in Minneapolis, Minnesota, I looked at him and I said, I must be your worst nightmare. I voiced your character. I'm following you from set to set. Now I'm beating the crap out of you. I wasn't supposed to be that way, Tim. I like you. I really do. But Tim and I became friends, and then he produced a show, and then he hired me to do the show, and we've hung out. I loved him. He's such a talent. But we were playing golf one time, and at the turn, we got lunch, and I eat fast. And I ate my lunch before he started his. And I looked at Tim, and I apologized. I said, Tim, I eat fast. I eat like I either had older brothers or I was in prison, and I had neither. And without missing a beat, Tim said I had both. And if you know Tim's story, he had both. But he's a wonderful guy.
Thank you.
Okay, what was your favorite line to say when you were playing Kronk?
Well, we're watched it. Poison. Poison for Cusco. Cusco's poison. Poison.
Hello, Patrick. My name is Isaac. I have a Seinfeld question for you today.
Okay. All right.
I know that during the time that you were on Seinfeld, you were doing a lot of episodes on a lot of different shows, and I was wondering if when you took the character of Putty, you knew that you would be a recurring character or just a one-off character, you thought?
Well, it was a one-off, but you always shoot for that. You hope that they like the character and bring him back. And so fortunately, that was what was happening. When I did Days World, I did a oneer, and then they brought me back and made me a series regular, which took me out of doing Seinfeld for 2 years, actually. You know, and that happened with a number of other shows like Ellen's Show, her sitcom. And so when I did Seinfeld, I was in Australia, I don't know, about 8 or 9 years ago, and I was doing a film. I did an interview, and I mentioned in the interview that I had avoided Jerry Seinfeld like the plague, which that's what ends up making news. And next thing you know, that's a story of the States. They pick it up because anything that grabs attention, well, why did he avoid Jerry Seinfeld like the plague? And, if they were to read in deeper, it was because I did not want to bother that man. I knew how lucky I was to be there, because this was the 6th season, my first episode, and I was a huge fan of the show. So I wanted to hit my marks, get the laughs, and just stay out of the way. I was just concerned that if I was in a room alone with Jerry Seinfeld, I would stick my foot in my mouth, say something stupid like, wow, but you never would have thought this would all happened. I go, you're such an idiot. So I just avoided him, and then they brought me back for another episode. I was like, okay, this is good. And then, I'd signed up with a family and 4 kids and a family to support, and I took the first regular job I could get, which was Days World. Days World kept me off of Seinfeld for 2 years, but then they canceled that show, and I was able to come back on during the 9th season and do most of the episodes I did during the 9th season. I only did 9 regular season episodes of Seinfeld. People think I did more because there's only 180 episodes of Seinfeld. Jerry pulled the plug early. And so it's in perpetual syndication, and in that rotation, it looks like you did more than you did.
Hi. I'll pick that up later. In your personal opinion, who's the better officer between Joe Swanson and Sheriff Bronson?
Well, they're both very different, aren't they? Yes. Well, Bronson's probably a better officer. I think, Joe makes a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
A lot of mistakes. But that's what brings him such charm.
So, out of all of the voice acting you've done, which one was your favorite? Ken from B Movie, Joe Swanson, or Kronk?
Again, it's so different. I've been, so thankful to have that role of Joe on Family Guy. I love it, and it's been a lot of fun. Kronk is kind of near and dear to me because it's Disney, and And so that was very special, for me. But then again, doing the B movie, that was great. I worked with Jerry Seinfeld more in doing the B movie than on the show. Well, Jerry did not direct Seinfeld. I was in some scenes with Jerry, but he directed the B movie. So every time I was in there, Jerry was directing me. We were having laughs, and that was a great experience. So they're all different, and it's really hard to, pick a favorite. They're all sort of in a way favorites in just different ways. Yep.
Thank you.
Hi, Patrick Warburton. It's great to meet you.
It's great to meet you too.
My name is Max Brown. I'm a huge fan of the B Movie. As you know, when it came time to work on the B Movie, did you ever come up with the lines yourself, or what was it like to be a part of the movie, and why, and what was the audition for Ken in the B Movie like?
I think that it was, I think most of it was written. Yeah. I'll leave the microphone with him there. That's right. Most of it was written. No, he can hold on to it. Yeah. Most of it was already there. I think we did experiment with it a little bit.
Right.
There were things that, I really, I loved that he was just such a horse's ass, and as my father would refer to him. Some of my favorite lines in that would have to be like when I was trying to smash Barry the Bee with a magazine, and he says, Barry says it's a big magazine, and Dan goes, it's Italian Vogue, mostly ads. And he tries to smash it. So I just yogurt night have to be so difficult on things like that. But I think that was out there, I did an audition for it because, Jerry knew me from the show, and we did, he asked me to do a table reading of the script.
Right.
You realize sometimes that when you're doing a table reading of a script, that it is sort of an unofficial audition. At the same time, they want to see how you're going to make this character sound. And so after we did that, then Jerry just said, hey, will you play Ken in the B Movie? So that's how that came about. But, I crossed paths with Jerry, and this was 2 years after I couldn't do Seinfeld because I was on that other show. And Jerry was doing these American Express spots
Right.
as Superman.
Right.
And that was another thing where he just wanted me to read the voice of Superman while he did it. And then he said, will you do the voice of Superman? I said, of course. And so that was a lot of fun. It was Barry Levinson who actually directed those. Those were really fun, sort of like little mini movies. And you could see those on like YouTube or whatever, but that was fun. So we're working with Jerry throughout the years. I love that man.
I do too. He's funny.
He is. Thank you so much for those great questions. Thank you.
I
don't know. We both have the same problem.
Hi.
Hello.
All right, so my question is, have you ever considered taking up the professional job of being a scroll translator for those who need it?
I wasn't so busy, and if they would actually listen to me, then I might. I feel like it would be a lot of wasted time, because I would think that I could do it because I did it in a movie, and then I realize in real life I have no more talent at communicating with squirrels than any other person on this planet, in this room. So I'd probably pass on that one.
Somewhat. Understandable.
Hey, Patrick. Sorry, something stuck in my throat. I have a question about what you think about AI voice replication when it comes to voice acting, and what kind of you think the future will be with that.
Well, I was doing some press, and I was talking to some radio station, and they said, we're going to have you talk to AI Patrick. And they had me talk to AI Patrick. And AI Patrick has just no personality or character at this point. Now, AI is moving quite rapidly, and I'm sure it's going to develop its own different characters and personality. But there's they can duplicate the voice perfectly, but the human element, I don't think can ever be truly impersonated by anything that is not human.
I agree. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hello.
In 2014, you voice acted one of my favorite video games, and I want to know, what was it like being Hugo Vasquez in Tales from the Borderlands?
Nice.
I did that in like a day or so. You never played the game. And I remember him being just a big jerk, right? Yeah. That's probably a character that's not in the movie, I would think, or didn't see the film. But I did enjoy it, There's a lot of like sort of unique experiences that you do that, don't take much time, and then you kind of forget about them. So, I remember having a good time, but it was just one day recording, and a while ago.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
I got you.
Hi.
Hello.
I am a huge fan of Seinfeld, so I'm going to bring back the David Puddy. That's one of my favorite characters on Seinfeld. Can you just tell us how that came about? Did you create that character, or was that Jerry's idea?
Well, this is the thing. So it was just Jerry's mechanic. And fortunately, at that point, I wasn't having to go in for casting. And as you know, I hate auditions. It was I went in immediately for producers. Producers was Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David. So I walked into a room with the two of them, and I had this dialogue. I remember the other guys that had been called back from casting, and I was looking at them. They looked more like your typical sort of like New York guys, Tony's, Vinny's, or whatnot. And I thought, well, this is not me. And I was considering, taking sort of a different tact with this. And so, when he said things like, that's right, I don't do that or whatnot, or I don't do the twist and the swirl, I just made him as stupid as I could and just said, I don't even do that. I don't do the twist. Yeah, that's right. Whatever. And there's like something about that sort of stupid, sort of very curt, attitude that this big dummy had. And that's what Putty was. I was really kind of curious to try to figure out what the connection was between Elaine and Putty, because she's pretty damn sharp. And I guess it was sort of fun to see, the relationship between these two very different people. And the only thing you could come to the conclusion was that certain things with the two of them must have been really good.
Yeah, no kidding. Your 8-ball jacket behind the 8-ball were there.
Oh, if you got a question, you ask the 8-ball.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. So I was wondering, what do you think is your most underrated role? Like one you really like, but think doesn't get enough attention?
Well, there's certain things, and I know why they don't. I did a really curious, interesting film back around 2000 called The Woman Chaser. And it was shot sort of muted colors. There's a black and white print, a muted colors print. And it was shot film noir. It was based on a Charles Willeford novel. We made the film for, under $500,000. We debuted at the New York Film Festival. The New York Film Festival is harder to get into than Sundance. It's one of the hardest festivals, if not the hardest festival in the world to get into. And we were paired that year with Jane Campion's new picture, Holy Smoke. Now, she had just won the Academy Award the year before with The Piano. The Lone Chasers had a cult following for years. It's ironic. It's very interesting, but it's an art house film, Patton Oswalt, who I'm a big fan of. The first time I ever met him was at Disney's Imagineering. We crossed paths, and he came up to me, and he's actually written books on films, and he studies films. And he came up and he just said, he goes, The Woman Chaser is absolutely brilliant. I love it. It's so ironic and funny and absurd. And I appreciated that coming from Patton because I'm a big fan of his. So that's a film that, not a lot of people have seen, but people who see it seem to really appreciate that one. Yeah.
I don't know. Give it a look.
Yeah, give it a look.
Hi, I just want to say it's a huge honor that you could come down here and be at this panel. I've loved a lot of your characters, like when growing up, especially, of course, your character of Kronk. And I also remember just enjoying your time when you played the Big Bad Wolf on Hoodwink. You're really funny.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Did enjoy it.
So my question is, of course, when you're just, like driving in the car, it's like you turn on that radio. What's a song that you just love to hear when it comes on and just plays?
Okay, I'm going to answer that question. But first I want to say it's a huge honor for me to be here. I don't do a lot of cons. And one of the very first cons I ever did was here years ago. So I don't know, maybe only about 7 or 8 years ago. And I had such an amazing experience. And so I'm really, really glad and happy and honored to be here because this is, the best. This is the best right now. I'm a huge Eddie Vedder fan. Huge program fan. I love anything and everything. I've been preaching the gospel of Eddie Vedder and Pearl Jam for years. And my wife thinks I have a problem. She's like, you can't get a drink in you without talking about Eddie Vedder. And I go, well, he is Bob Dylan with the voice of Eddie Vedder. And she's like, you're doing it right now. And I go, you're just jealous that there isn't an artist in the world that you love as much as I love Eddie Vedder. But yeah, I mean, anything from the soundtrack to Into the Wild that he did, I just, he is such an amazing artist. He's been very kind to me because he knows I'm a super fan. And one of the things I understand, at Comic-Cons, I can relate to everybody, when somebody said earlier, it's like to see that you're a real person. Listen, I got 4 dogs, 4 kids, and a mean wife. So I'm just down to it. I'm not like, that Princess David Spade who's kiting around in private jets, you know what I'm saying? I got to do all the normal stuff, My wife books me, I won't say the airline because then I'll never do an ad for him. Rather normal life. I love Eddie Vedder. I've met that man a number of times and he's been very kind and I've gotten to hang out with him just a little bit. And one time, we were at a concert and this was in Los Angeles. Pearl Jam did 4 shows at the Gibson. One of them, one of the guys from the band said, hey, Ed knows you're here. He wants to see you. And it's great because there's 200 people backstage. Guys like, Sean Penn and John Krakauer have to screw off and wait with everybody else while my wife and I are hanging out with Ed in his dressing room. And Ed gave me his email that night and he goes, write the set list for tomorrow night's show. And I did. And then he gave me a Social Distortion t-shirt, which is a very famous t-shirt that he's worn a number of times on stage. It is such a personal thing. And I was just beside myself. And as my wife and I walked out to the car, it was in total silence. She was on the passenger side and I was on the driver's side. Before I opened the door, I took that t-shirt and I knew that she was watching me and I sniffed it. I smelled it. And then I just looked over the car at her with a frown and I said, it's clean. If I'm going to sleep with this thing, I want it to smell like it's soap. He's just a marvelous artist. Anything and everything Eddie Vedder. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Joe. My name is Peter.
Hey, Peter.
So I'm asking a question because I think you're cool and I'm here for extra credit for a school project. So that's also pretty cool. Yeah.
I'm glad you did that second.
Yeah. As like growing up in like a very Catholic Christian house, like how did Halloween work? Like, did you have to like dress up as like Jesus or something, or like?
No, fortunately not. Not like that. But yeah, it was very, very, very strict. It was all Catholic schools and this and that. A lot of crazy in there. I have no issues whatsoever with spirituality, and I guess at this point in my life, have an issue with men and religion, and I know that I'm alone in this. But so still spiritual. My kids pray, we pray, yeah. But there was a lot of crazy. You guys can relate, right? Can you relate? A little crazy. Did I answer your question?
Yes, I did. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Peter.
Hi, Patrick. I just wanted to say A Series of Unfortunate Events is one of my favorite book series of all time. and I loved your work on it. I just wanted to say that it's literally one of the best book adaptations ever, in my opinion. And I just wondered if you could tell us about your favorite moment from filming it.
Well, thank you for all of that, and please watch something more pleasant. The sad lives, the road letters. And real quick, I have to share this. So, when I was about, I guess I was in my early 50s when we shot that, I had never gotten a tattoo, and I thought that the tattoo train had passed me by. But when I was reading we were doing the table reads for the second season, Lemony says, there was a time in my life where I had a woman that I loved very much, a home, and a reliable typewriter. He goes, all those things are gone now, and all I have to remind me of that time is this tattoo. And so I got the tattoo right there, see? So I got it, and then, Neil Patrick Harris got the tattoo as well. But see, his tattoo artist took some artistic liberties. So he comes back to set, and he shows Rose, the producer, and Barry Sonnenfeld that he got the tattoo. And they go, that's great, we have to put makeup over it and do the right one. He goes, I got the tattoo. Then they go, you got the wrong one. So the only real tattoo actually in the show is mine.
Oh my God.
Yes. But I'm not sure actually the question, favorite moment. I mean, it was all very, very, special to get to work on that show. And because of the production value, and Bo Welch did all the sets. He does all the sets for all of Barry's projects, and he's an amazing artist. But that was, and all the guest stars were amazing on that. So the whole thing was just an amazing experience. And we shot it in Vancouver, and that is such a beautiful city in spring and summer. But if you're there in winter and it's dark at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and wet and cold, but yeah, love Vancouver. Hi, Dad. Well, hello, son.
You had two pretty distinct roles in Dungeon Crawler Carl's audiobook. Can you tell us about how that experience went for you?
It was so quick. I had no idea what it was. At first, the presentation was you want to do a book, books. The books are long. They go, it's just a little bit. And I go, oh. And they go, it's a really cool project. I go, okay. How long is it going to take? 15 minutes. Okay. So I did it just like that. But I guess this whole dungeon crawler thing has really taken off and amazing. So, that's another thing where I was, just pleased to get to work with that creator. He's amazing. And what's his name?
Matt Dinman.
That's right.
That's the creator, and then Jeff Hayes was the narrator.
Okay. Yeah, so it was great getting to work with those guys, but it was really brief, and as far as they are, move forward and kill it with this thing, because I think that they're actually selling a big project.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Thank you.
Cheers. Now we have a couple in disguise here.
Hi.
Hello.
My question is, out of every TV show and movie you've ever done, what's your favorite line from one of them, and why is it your favorite line?
Why did you have to ask the hardest question in the whole wide world? Right. Let's just go with Kronk, maybe. And, my favorite lines with Kronk, I think, I can't remember. It's like when he was in the kitchen and he was talking about how he was going to prepare the food and turn a something or something into a something and this and that.
He's shocked. My spinach puff.
My spinach puffs. Yeah. Shame we're going to miss dessert. I worked so hard at that.
Thank you.
And does she have a question? There we go. But good question. It's a tough one.
Hi. My name's Sid. What's your favorite character?
Kronk. The wolf, somebody brought the wolf up from the hoodwink. That was a really fun one to do today. And of course, Jar from Family Guy, which is a show you guys should be watching for quite some time. Yeah. But yeah, I like the wolf, When they pitched Hoodwink, that's when they say, would you like to do something? I go, what is this? And they go, well, it's Little Red Riding Hood, but with a twist. And the wolf thinks that he's like an investigative reporter like Fletch. At that point, I said, I'm sold, and I'm your wolf. And so we did that. But I like that a lot. You guys are great. Great questions.
Hello.
So I remember when I was a little kid, I used to love to play this video game. It's called Skylanders. And so I know that you play the voice of Flynn. So did you ever end up playing the video game at one point?
I did. I had a little buddy named Ty who's all grown up now from St. Jude. So he was a St. Jude patient, and when he was about 5 years old, I guess, that was when I first met him. And we played that a little bit, and the little kid kicked my ass at that. I have no desire to play video games and do something that I'm really, really bad at. And you guys become professionals because you do it 6 hours a day.
I'd agree.
But that was fun. And so Ty now is actually going to Alabama, the University of Alabama. Yeah, and he's a runner. And so, yes, I'm supposed to head out there for the Missouri game this year and hang out with Ty in his frat. So I told him, I go, Ty, we're going to do so much damage. Don't show your parents this text. Thank you. I think, did I answer your question? Sometimes I don't realize if I answer the question or not.
Thank you very much. You're awesome.
Thank you, sir.
We have about 5 minutes, so.
It's very nice to meet you, Mr. Warburton.
Pleasure to meet you too, sir.
So I also played Skylanders as well. How was it like being the actor of Flynn, and what was the best game to be him in?
Well, Skylanders is probably the hardest I've worked on anything because games have so many different, results with everything. So you have to have dialogue for every which way things go. So Skylanders recording sessions are like 4 hours of just going and going. Then you come back the next day and you do 4 more hours. It's a lot easier, actually, to voice a character in a movie because you have more limited dialogue. But in a game, you have so much. And the most work I've ever done doing voiceover work was Skylanders. And then every time they brought it back, do it all over again. Yeah, but it was a lot.
Also, what is your favorite Skylander?
I think that Cassie had a big crush on Flynn. There, she was cool.
All right, thank you very much.
You got it.
So my question relates back to Seinfeld. So of all the different David Puddy episodes, whether it's the face painter or the dealership or thinking Elaine's going to hell, were there any episodes that you feel like you were able to pull some real life experience from, as a sports fanatic or as a dealing with the dealership or whatever, to kind of create that?
Well, you're a wizard. You should know the answer. A lot of people thought that the religion one, where, you stole my Jesus fish and all that stuff. I'm not the one going to hell. All that stuff. Everybody thought that came from my life because everybody knew my situation at home, and all my friends thought they based that on you. And I said that they didn't actually. I've never actually purposely painted my face for a game. Except for, the New Jersey Devils, which I'll show up every now and then. Because it's kind of fun, years ago, they, I guess, sort of made me a mascot, because they, at all the New Jersey Devils games on that big Trinitron over the ice, they show me as Putty screaming and yelling, "Go Devils." And they've been doing that now for about 24 years, 25 years. Yeah, so there's not too much relatable. I mean, I would look at Putty and think, this guy probably failed out of junior college. Curiously enough, I failed out of junior college. They made me alumni of the year last year and the commencement speaker. So that's failing upward, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah, I told the nice lady from the college when they called to bestow this honor upon me, I told her, I said, I didn't finish, right? And she said, we are aware of that. And then I said, your alumni pool must not be that deep. And she said, nothing. I go, I'll do it. That's an honor. Thank you very much. And I did it. It was one of those talks that the kids love, but the elder academics sitting behind me, as I was told afterwards, were shaking their heads the whole time.
So I know I'm pretty young to watch this, but I watch it with my dad sometimes. But what was your favorite episode to film during Rules of Engagement?
Well, there's one I sort of remember, Guy Code, and explaining Guy Code to Audrey. That was a really fun episode. I like the the clever ones. Whenever you're working on a sitcom, sometimes not so clever, and sometimes they get clever, and you're like, all right, the writers are really on their game. That was a really fun one. Yeah. Yeah. There's another one. It's a little adult. I don't know if that's done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, time for one more question.
In a Scooby-Doo, a Mystery Incorporated, what was your favorite part about playing a Sheriff Stone?
What was my favorite part about
playing a sheriff?
Playing the sheriff. Well, he's not really outside of a lot of characters, I guess. I play just sort of a, stern, Markin would be sort of, the principal version of the Bronson Stone or whatever, who's always annoyed at what the kids are doing. And, and I guess because of my voice, it lends itself to these stern characters who just seem to have no personality or sense of humor about things. And so I do that well. My kids all make fun of me because when we go to restaurants, they go, what are you, a geisha girl? Because I'm always like, thank you very much. I'm always like this next. I know that I have that one of those voices that I could literally say thank you and it sounds like I'm a jerk because it's just the tone and timbre of my voice. And I remember what it was like working in a restaurant and when you're a busboy and you put a spoon on somebody's table and they don't even say anything and it's like you're not even there, So I kind of go overboard in my real life and thanking people for stuff. And I feel like I have that empathetic nature that I've always had since a child, just appreciating, everybody. And I want them to know that I appreciate them too. And for what they do, no matter what your lot in life is, we're all the same. We're all the same. So. Thank you.
I think we are out of time, but Patrick, thank you so much for coming. You're such a fun, down-to-earth person, and...
You. I'm so happy to be here, and it's great to be here. I'm sorry to this poor guy. Thank you all so much. Wonderful to hear. I love you all, Salt Lake City. Thank you.